So guys, yes, I actually did a 7,000 euros GPU upgrade to 2 PCs of 2 streamers. And what's crazy about this is I think it might have actually been worth the money for them and for the use case. So let's get started and let's see what all of this is about. Now, Asus released their newest RTX 4090 ROG Matrix Platinum, okay? Now, we will talk about the specs later, but what's important for now is it's the best 4090 on the market and it costs 3,500 euros. Basically, nobody that I know of on the internet has bought it without it being sent to them for free. So disclaimer, this is not sponsored. They did not send them to me for free, unfortunately. So what this means is I can be fully honest and transparent about the review. So if the card sucks, I can actually tell it properly. So with that said, why did we get it? Well, what you don't see on the channel is what I do for a living as well. Now, what happens is, other than just building PCs that you see on the channel, I also do tuning, tweaking, overclocking, undervolting on commission for people who ask me. And I also follow basically a few LAN rooms, streaming centers, etc. Now, 2 emerging streamers from the Neapocalypsa brand, which is sponsored by Monster, reached out to me to have their PC tweaked, which is a service I offer online as well, and I just did it for them. And we basically started working together, and since they're getting more and more competitive into the Call of Duty MW3 scene, they basically wanted me to tune their PC in person and make it better. Now, you've probably seen this if you follow me on Instagram as well. If you don't, go check me out. But basically what happened is they had 2 extremely high-end PCs. We are talking i9 13th gen, when it still was the latest one, RTX 4090, 360mm all-in-one water cooler, 64 gigs of DDR5, high speed, massive NVMEs, 400 euros power supplies, etc, etc. Because again, those computers for them are just a tool to do their job. So of course, they have high-end components, right? Now, since they are a bit mad, they're not playing at 1080p like most competitive gamers are. But since they play a lot of Warzone, they are playing at 4040p, 280 Hz, which is crazy. Like, I would not recommend this to anyone. If a client of mine asked me, I don't recommend you play at that resolution or that refresh. It's just crazy. But they do it. 27-inch, 4040p, 280 Hz monitors. So now that means that even if you have the latest i9, the latest 4090, you overclock all of it, you are still not gonna max out 280 frames all the time, right? So Asus came out and they launched this new card, which basically is an all-in-one solution to upgrade your GPU. So this would allow them to get closer to the 280 frames per second mark, and maybe, not spoiling too much, but maybe we actually did it in reaching it. So they went ahead and they bought 1 each for their computers. So this is how I came into having 2 RTX 4090 Matrix on my hands. And I think I am literally the only tech YouTuber in the whole internet with 2 Matrix RTX 4090s, especially one that they weren't sent to. So one at a time, we started with the upgrade of the single PC. Now, before going over the specs of the single ones, let's talk about the Matrix some more, in case you haven't seen the videos of the big YouTubers and in case you want to hear someone who's independent talk about it. What this is, I will put a footage on the screen of me unboxing it, but basically, it is a graphene-cooled, liquid metal RTX 4090 in which they strapped a 360mm ROG Strix water cooler, which covers not only the core but also the memory and the VRMs on. So it's basically just like the water force cards they used to make, you know, like all-in-one water-cooled cards have been a thing for a while, but the difference is it's liquid graphene cooled, like the PC I did a while ago, so it actually arrived sooner than Asus, I guess, and they put liquid metal in it. So basically they have done, out of the box, what enthusiast tech people were doing to their PCs, DIY, custom, but they made that all-in-one solution for you with all of that, okay? So crazy. Now, as you can see by the footage, the card is actually small. It's smaller than the RTX 4090GB by quite a bit, because if you have seen a few videos of disassembling, you will know that the card, even though this is the GPU, the card is actually this big, if it makes sense, because it's the actual PCB, it's all there, you know, it's just silicon, it's not too complicated. Back in the day, they would have massive power phases, but nowadays they're just small GPUs, right? They did, however, make it a bit larger for aesthetic purposes, so it has an all-aluminum frame, which also a little bit allows with dissipation, and it has, again, LEDs everywhere, and it comes with this massive rad, Strix fans. Again, we know that ROG Strix all-in-one water coolers are good, a bit overpriced. This will be the trend with the GPUs as well. Just telling you, they are definitely overpriced, but they are very good. Now, the packaging itself, as you've seen, was pretty weird, I guess, because they had the peel off on the box. So you peel off the box, you peel off the plexiglass on the box. I mean, whatever. And then the card was full of peel-off. So we did all of that, all the fans. Very nice unboxing experience, very premium. They give you an NFT inside the box as well. They give you a little thing to build, like with cardboard to put on your desk. They give you stickers from ROG. Again, probably the most premium experience in unboxing things I've ever had. That's basically what you get with every top-of-the-line Asus ROG motherboard as well, to be honest. But nice. It was revisited, it was nice. I liked it quite a bit. And now let's get over the specs. First PC we did was built in a Lian Li O11 Dynamic. And again, it had an i9-3900K on a MAG Ace MSI motherboard, top of the line, absolute top MSI board. Now, this had an Aorus Master RTX 4090 top of the line Gigabyte board, but we just disassembled it and then we mounted the card side mounted. We did a side mount for actually both cards. So we did a side mount in outtake for actually both of the fans, because the logic behind it was we bring the air in from the bottom, then we push the air out from the top and side. So the air inside the case where the VRMs are is overall pretty cool, and the heat is just created on the radiator and just pushed out directly. So this was the logic behind it. It is absolutely not a conventional cooling setup, but it works for this kind of GPU. If you really think about it, it's the best. We also tested it and it's the best. We moved the fans from the side to the bottom, put the GPU in. It was fairly straightforward. The only issue was basically Lian Li doesn't allow you to connect the USB 3.0 header to the motherboard if you have a side-mounted radiator, which is crazy. Like, honestly, this alone made me want to never buy a Lian Li O11 Dynamic PC ever again. So I was really not impressed with it. But this is the first PC, just slotted it in, done. Now the second PC is what you've probably seen online, meaning not from me, but everybody was building these cards in the G703 Asus ROG Strix case. Why? Because it's a ROG case and Asus ROG send you this card and they're like, do a full ROG build. Usually they put those Asus Store PSUs, this case here, an Asus ROG Strix cooler, you know, they just go themed with a ROG motherboard. Well, lucky for us, we actually were themed because we had an RTX 4090 Strix in the build before. So we did have, however, a Be Quiet power supply, the one that Jay's 2 cents covered. And it's massive, very good power supply. But basically the rest was all ROG, even though we didn't want to specifically. But I like ROG products, to be honest. So yes, and they do look nice together, I will admit it. So anyways, in this case, it was a bit trickier. We had to dismount the whole side panel. We had to take out basically a support for the radiator, mount everything in, slide the GPU through the cutout to the front, and then finally mount it. But it did come out looking nice in my opinion. But you guys have to tell me if it did look nice. Would you actually change anything in these builds? These guys I built the PC for will actually be watching this video. So if you have any suggestion or anything you'd like to change, or just drop a comment and maybe we can make it happen. Also, what would be the next upgrade for you? Would you get the 14th Gen i9 or not really? Do let me know down below. Finally, let's talk about performance, overclocking, undervolting, and everything that goes along with it. Now, obviously, even buying two identical cards, silicon quality was a factor. So we actually had one card better than the other, but it's normal. But they are very high binned cards. Basically, Asus from the factory, they test the purity of their cards and they choose the best to make them matrices. So you also get that. Now, the first thing you get is an increased power limit. So you can go very high in your power limit, like 120, something like that. So another good thing, pro tip for you guys, if you build a custom loop with a Strix, you can get a matrix BIOS, flash it into your Strix, and you can get higher power limit. So that's nice. Because remember, most of the time it is just software limits from the factory, and nowadays you can't really BIOS mod directly. So that's interesting. By going fully water cooled, we eliminated a lot of heat in the case. So this actually also made our CPU run cooler. So we did go ahead and actually tweaked our CPU a bit more. Everything is overclocked, everything. RAM, CPU, everything. But we did gain a few degrees there as well. The GPU was running way too cool. We are talking 50 degrees under full load with the automatic fan speed. Let me talk about the fan speed. So the GPU basically runs at 40% speed. It is completely inaudible. You cannot hear the card running at all. So if you were to boost the fan speed to like 70%, you could actually get a bit more performance as well. By simply maxing out the power limit and getting the benefits of the cooling, the card would go much faster. And not because it is programmed different out of the box, but simply because the curve, the clock voltage curve in NVIDIA cards is tied directly to temperature. So the lower the temperature, the automatic higher and longer it will boost. So by simply doing that, we were getting massive increase compared to the stock Strix card. We're talking like 10% more performance raw just by doing that. Now, if we factor in our overclock, which was roughly 100 megahertz on the core and roughly 1000 megahertz on the memory on average across both cards, and if we factor in the heat we took out of the case, and so what we could push the actual CPU more, we actually got in the 1% low something like 15 to 20% more performance, which is absolutely insane compared to an already high-end system. So in our case, what this meant is that previously, on very tough points of the map in Call of Duty, our frames were dropping to roughly 200. Now it is very hard to see them under 240, which is crazy good. So my conclusion, even though I am an independent reviewer and I could have said those cards were trash, is unfortunately going to be that they are actually insanely good. And as a tech guy, I love the engineering behind them. I guess if you're working with your computer, if you're actively using it and you need to save time and get more performance, get the 0.1% edge in competitive, I actually have to recommend these cards. The question you guys are probably going to ask me is, okay, but what about compared to a custom loop, right? What if I buy a 2,000 euros RTX 4090, 2,500 euros RTX 4090 Strix OC, and then just put a water block on it? Maybe I put the liquid metal on it, maybe I put the graphene on it, and I just build a custom loop, right? This is a fair question. And the answer is, surprisingly, because Asus did do their math correctly, you're gonna spend approximately the same, because you're gonna have to buy the card, buy the liquid metal, buy the coolant. Graphene coolant is relatively expensive, around 50 bucks per liter. And then you're gonna have to do the mod yourself, get some good thermal pads, another 50 bucks. So if you factor it all in, you're not reaching the 3,500 euros, but you're getting close. And since it's not an all-in-one solution, you are losing warranty, you are gonna have to do it yourself. Of course, for people like me, it's fun, but if you have to pay someone, it's gonna be just economically not doable. So this allows you to quickly swap out your CPU, quickly swap out your GPU, as we've done in that video in which my friend upgraded from a 3090 to a 3090. Go check this one out if you want. We basically built a card like the Matrix ourselves, and it came out nice. It gives you ease of upgradability and it gives you peace of mind. So in my opinion, this is the best way to configure a high-end computer. If you have no budget, I recommend this against a custom loop every day. So unfortunately, yes, they get a full recommendation from me, and if you can afford it, not sure you should buy it, but if you need top performance, I think you should buy it if you can afford it. So guys, again, drop a like and a sub. I promise I will bring more exclusive content like this, and I hope I can catch you guys in the next videos as well. Bye. And thank you guys from Neapocalypsa for giving me this opportunity. It was really a pleasure, and let's go for more high performance stuff.